read a book, look for literary devices the author uses. Literary devices are tools the author uses to advance the story. One common literary device is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is when the author introduces something that will have significance later on in the story. Flashback is another literary device you may find when you read a story. In a flashback, the regular story order is interrupted by an event that happened in the past. A third literary device is suspense. Suspense is apprehension or nervousness about what is going to happen in a story. As you watch this video based on the book The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, try to spot the use of foreshadowing, flashback, and suspense. The story begins when Sir Henry Baskerville pays a visit to Detective Sherlock Holmes and his partner, Dr. Watson. He feels his life is in danger. There have been a series of mysterious deaths in his family that he thinks are related to a family curse. He fears he will be the next victim. Sir Henry tells them about the curse of the Baskervilles. One of his ancestors sold his soul to the devil. The devil took the life of this man and continued to haunt the Baskerville family by way of a fierce, eerily glowing dog that attacks family members on the moors, the grassy hills that surround the Baskerville estate. Sherlock Holmes doubts that an evil spirit is behind the attacks. However, they learn that a hound's footprint was found near the scene of the crime. Sir Henry shows them the threatening letter he received, telling him to keep away from the moors. He also mentions that someone has stolen one of his boots. Holmes decides that Watson should protect Sir Henry. On their way back to the estate, Watson and Sir Henry learn that an escaped convict has been spotted lurking on the moors at night. Once at the estate, Watson meets some unusual characters. He meets the Barrymores, the estate housekeepers. Then he meets Jack Stapleton, a butterfly catcher. Watson deduces that all of these characters could be suspects since they all act strangely. One night, Watson and Sir Henry catch Mr. Barrymore signaling someone by using a light through a window at the estate. When confronted, Mr. and Mrs. Barrymore confess that the convict is their brother, and they have been supplying him with food and clothing. Suddenly, the sound of a deep howl bellows through the window, sending a chill down everyone's spines. Is this the Hound of the Baskervilles? Sherlock Holmes arrives at the estate a few nights later. Watson is relieved because the moors are dark and frightening, and the case is becoming more twisted. Holmes reveals that he has been investigating the mystery and that he suspects Stapleton is the culprit. Then, Watson and Holmes hear a scream. They fear Sir Henry has been attacked, but they find the convict instead. He is wearing Sir Henry's clothing and boots. Holmes realizes that the boot that was stolen in London was used to teach a hound Sir Henry's scent. While Watson and Holmes were investigating the scene, Stapleton suspiciously shows up and says he heard the scream. Holmes knows Stapleton is the killer, but he doesn't know why he is committing the crimes or what his motive is. When Holmes and Watson return to the estate, Holmes figures it out. He sees old Baskerville family portraits and notices one looks like Stapleton. Stapleton is a Baskerville and will be next in line to inherit the estate after Sir Henry. So now Stapleton has a motive. Holmes, Watson, and Sir Henry try to trap Stapleton on the moors. The glowing hound attacks Sir Henry while they are on the moor, but Holmes stops the attack. They find that the hound is a regular hound. It is just covered in a green, glowing phosphorus. After this incident, Stapleton is never seen again. Let's take a closer look at the literary devices used to tell this story. First, let's examine the use of foreshadowing in this story. The best examples of foreshadowing are the clues that Watson and Holmes find along the way. Clues like the stolen boot and footprint tell us that these items will have a significant role later in the story. We found out that the footprint was the print of a real dog. We also learned that the stolen boot was used to teach the dog Sir Henry's scent. This story also used flashback. A flashback interrupts the order of the story to show an event that happened in the past. Flashback was used to tell how the Curse of the Baskervilles started. Another literary device used in this story is suspense. Suspense is the feeling of being on the edge of your seat or being nervous about what is about to happen. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a master of suspenseful writing, and Detective Sherlock Holmes was his most famous character. There are many elements in a story that can generate suspense. The setting in our story does this well. The moors are a gloomy, barren place where people often disappear or are attacked by hounds. Just reading about them gives us an uneasy feeling. Suspense can also be generated through characters. If a character acts strangely, we may feel nervous when the main character is in contact with them. You'll find that suspense makes you want to continue reading, just to see what happens next. When you read, you should look for certain literary devices that are used to move the story along. Foreshadowing, flashback, and suspense are all techniques authors use to keep your attention and keep you turning the page. Think about other suspenseful short stories. Write down examples of when the author used foreshadowing or flashback.